On November 7, 1926, Lucky Luciano was counting money when 3 men walked in and opened fire. 6 shots. Luciano hit the floor. The gunmen checked. No pulse. They left. The next morning, the man who ordered the hit received a package at his office. No return address. He opened it. Inside was something that made his face go pale. Something that proved Luciano wasn't just alive. He was 3 steps ahead. What was in that package didn't just save Luciano's life. It made him untouchable. And when you hear what he did next, you'll understand why they called him Lucky. To understand what happened that night, you need to understand New York in 1926. Prohibition was in full swing. The city was a war zone. Irish gangs, Jewish gangs, Italian gangs, all fighting over booze, gambling, protection rackets. Bodies turned up in the East River every week. The police looked the other way. Politicians took their cut. The streets belonged to whoever was ruthless enough to take them. And in 1926, everyone wanted a piece. The 5 Points. Hell's Kitchen. The Lower East Side. Every neighborhood had a boss. Every boss had soldiers. And every soldier knew that one mistake meant a bullet or a blade. This was the world Charles Luciano was born into. Not by choice. By circumstance. And in the middle of all this chaos, there was a 29-year-old Sicilian immigrant named Charles Luciano. They called him Lucky. Not because he was lucky. Because he survived things that should have killed him. He'd been arrested twice by 1926. Served time once. Been beaten within an inch of his life more times than he could count down. But every time someone tried to put him down, he got back up. Smarter. Harder. More dangerous. By 1926, Luciano was running numbers, bootlegging operations, and protection rackets across the Lower East Side. He worked for Joe Mafia, the most powerful Italian boss in New York. Mafia was old school. Sicilian to the core. He believed in blood oaths, vendettas, and the code of silence. But Luciano was different from the other gangsters. He wasn't just muscle. He was smart. Strategic. He'd partnered with Meyer Lansky, a Jewish kid from Brooklyn. Together they were building something new. An organization that didn't care about ethnicity or old world feuds. Business was business. Money was money. They ran operations with precision. Kept books like a legitimate corporation. Paid people on time. Avoided unnecessary violence when possible. It was revolutionary. And it was exactly what the old guard hated doing. But there was a problem. Salvatore Maranzano. Maranzano was an old-school Sicilian boss. Traditional. Believed in the old ways. Blood feuds. Honor killings. Sicilian-only operations. He'd come to America in 1925 with big plans. He'd studied to be a priest in Sicily before turning to crime. He saw himself as a Caesar, building an empire the Roman way. Maranzano had a vision: one boss to rule them all. A capo di tutti capi. Boss of all bosses. And anyone who didn't fit that vision was an enemy. He looked at Luciano working with Jews, with Irish, with anyone who could make money. And he saw betrayal. Disrespect. A corruption of Sicilian honor. Maranzano wanted Luciano dead. But he couldn't do it openly. Not yet. Luciano was under Mafia's protection. And Mafia, for all his old world thinking, valued Luciano. The kid made money. Lots of it. So Maranzano decided to make it look like a robbery gone wrong. He sent 3 of his best men. Tommy Reyna's crew. Professional killers. Quiet. Efficient. Men who'd killed before and would kill again without hesitation. The plan was simple. Catch Luciano alone. Make it look random. 6 bullets, no witnesses. Problem solved. November 7, 1926, 10:47 p.m. Lower East Side, Manhattan. Luciano was in the back room of a speakeasy on Mulberry Street. Small place. 4 tables, a bar, storage in the back. He was there to collect protection money from the owner, an Irish guy named Mickey Sullivan. Mickey ran a clean operation. Paid on time. Didn't cause trouble. The kind of partner Luciano liked. Mickey handed over the cash. $300. Good week. Luciano sat down to count it. Old habit. Always count the money yourself. Never trust anyone's math. The speakeasy was quiet. A few customers at the bar, nursing drinks. Jazz playing low on a phonograph in the corner. Normal Tuesday night. That's when the door opened. 3 men. Long coats. Hats pulled low. Luciano looked up. Didn't recognize them. Not Mickey's regular customers. Something felt wrong. The way they moved, the way they looked at him, professional. Focused. Luciano's instincts screamed danger. The first man pulled a gun. Luciano's hand moved toward his waistband, but he wasn't fast enough. Bang. The first bullet hit him in the chest. The impact threw him backward. Luciano jerked against the wall, felt the air leave his lungs. But he didn't feel the bullet pierce his skin. Bang. Bang, 2 more shots. Chest. Stomach. Luciano hit the floor hard. The gunman kept firing. Bang, 6 shots total. Point blank range. Professional. No wasted bullets. The customers at the bar dove for cover. Mickey Sullivan disappeared behind the counter. The lead gunman stepped forward. Checked Luciano's neck for a pulse. Nothing. Blood pooling on the wooden floor. Eyes closed. Body still. He's done, the gunman said. They left. Didn't take the money. Didn't take anything. Didn't even look at Mickey or the customers. This wasn't a robbery. This was a hit. The door closed behind them. The speakeasy was silent except for the phonograph, still playing jazz in the corner. Mickey Sullivan, hiding behind the bar, waited 5 minutes before he came out. Terrified, shaking. He looked at Luciano's body on the floor. So much blood. Too much blood. Charlie Luciano, the rising star of the Lower East Side, dead at 29. Mickey ran out the back door to call an ambulance. His hands trembled as he picked up the phone. But when he returned 3 minutes later, something impossible had happened. Lucky Luciano was sitting up. Mickey froze in the doorway. His face went white. He thought he was seeing a ghost. Jesus Christ, Charlie. You're alive. Luciano was leaning against the wall, breathing hard, blood on his shirt. He unbuttoned his jacket slowly. Every movement hurt. Underneath was a bulletproof vest. Canvas and steel plates. Army surplus. Modified. 6 bullets embedded in the fabric. 6 perfect dents in the steel. Luciano had been wearing it for weeks. Ever since Meyer Lansky had warned him that someone might make a move. Trust your gut, Meyer had said. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Luciano's gut had been screaming for days. He pulled the vest off. Winced. Bruised ribs. Maybe cracked. But alive. He looked at Mickey. You see who they were. Mickey shook his head, still in shock. Never seen them before. They didn't say nothing. just walked in and started shooting. Luciano stood up slowly, tested his weight. Pain shot through his ribs, but nothing was broken. He grabbed the money off the floor, put it in his pocket. "Don't call the cops," Luciano said. "Charlie, you need a hospital." "I said don't call the cops." Mickey understood. "In this world, you didn't talk to the police. You didn't ask for help from the law. You handled your own problems." Luciano walked out of that speakeasy, left Mickey standing there staring at the blood on the floor. Outside, the November air was cold. Luciano's ribs screamed with every breath, but he didn't go to a hospital. He went to a phone booth 2 blocks away, called Meyer Lansky. "Meyer, it's me. Charlie, where are you? You sound. I need you at the warehouse. Now, and bring Victor." "What happened?" "Just come. Now." Victor was Lansky's cousin. A tailor, but not the kind who made suits. The kind who dealt in information, knew everyone, saw everything. If you wanted to know who was planning what in New York's underworld, you asked Victor. 40 minutes later, Luciano was in a warehouse in Brooklyn. Lansky helped him clean the blood. Checked the ribs. Not broken, just badly bruised. Victor looked at the vest. 6 shots, Victor said quietly. "Whoever sent them wanted you dead." "I know who sent them," Luciano said. Lansky looked at him. "Maranzano." Luciano nodded. Meyer's face hardened. "You're going to tell Mafia. He'll go to war with Maranzano over this." Luciano was quiet for a long moment, thinking, calculating. This was the moment that would define everything. He could go to Mafia. Tell him Maranzano tried to kill one of his top earners. Mafia would explode. Start a war. Bodies would pile up. Police would crack down. The entire operation would suffer. Or, "No," he finally said. "No war." Lansky was confused. "Charlie, they tried to kill you. And they failed. If I tell Mafia he starts a war, bodies everywhere. Cops get involved, feds get involved. Bad for business. So what do?" Luciano looked at the bulletproof vest. 6 bullet holes. Evidence of an attempt. Evidence of survival. And then Lucky Luciano smiled. Not a happy smile. A dangerous smile. "I'm going to send a message." What Luciano did next was pure genius. He didn't go to war. He didn't retaliate with violence. He did something that would haunt Maranzano far more than bullets ever could. He turned the assassination attempt into a psychological weapon. Luciano took the bulletproof vest, sat down at a table in that warehouse, and he wrote a note. 4 words. Handwritten. Clear. "Next time. Aim better." He folded the note, tucked it inside the vest's chest pocket, right where his heart would have been. Then he had it packaged. Brown paper, twine, no return address, and the next morning, November 8, 1926 at 9:30 a.m., that package was delivered to Salvatore Maranzano's office in the Bronx. Maranzano was meeting with his lieutenants, planning territory expansions. They were discussing moving into Luciano's territory. Now that the problem was solved, they could take what they wanted. A knock at the door. One of his men brought in the package. "This just arrived, boss." No name. Maranzano looked at it. Heavy. Solid. He opened it carefully. Inside was the vest. Bulletproof. 6 bullet holes clearly visible. Still had dried blood on it. His lieutenants went quiet. The room temperature seemed to drop. Maranzano reached inside the vest, felt the note, pulled it out, read it. Next time, aim better. The room was dead silent. One of the lieutenants finally spoke. Boss, that's... I know what it is, Maranzano interrupted. He knew. The vest meant Luciano survived. The note meant Luciano knew who sent the hitman. And the delivery meant Luciano wasn't afraid. But there was something else. Something that made Maranzano's hands shake slightly as he held that note. Luciano hadn't retaliated, hadn't sent his own gunmen, hadn't gone to Mafia screaming for war. He'd sent a message. Calm, calculated, cold. That was more terrifying than any bullet. Because it meant Lucky Luciano was playing a different game. A game Maranzano didn't understand. This wasn't about revenge. This was about control. Luciano was saying, I know what you did. I survived. And I'm not scared. More importantly, he was saying, I'm smarter than you. One of Maranzano's lieutenants broke the silence. What do we do, boss? Maranzano stared at the vest for a long moment. Nothing, he finally said. We do nothing. But boss, I said nothing. Luciano made his point. 2 days later, November 10th, 1926, Luciano walked into Ferrara's bakery in Little Italy. Ferrara's was neutral territory. A place where bosses could meet without soldiers, without guns, without bloodshed. Maranzano was there, sitting at a table in the back. Alone. Luciano walked straight to his table, sat down across from him. No gun. No bodyguards. Just two men. Maranzano looked at him, searching for fear, for anger, for anything. Luciano's face was blank. You got my package? Luciano asked. I got it. Good silence. The bakery smelled like fresh bread and espresso. Normal people going about their normal lives. No idea they were sitting 20 feet from two men who could order dozens of deaths with a word. Then Maranzano spoke. You should be dead. I know. Why aren't you? Luciano leaned back in his chair. Because I'm careful. And because your men aren't as good as you think they are. Maranzano's jaw tightened. You came here to insult me. No, I came here to make a deal. That caught Maranzano off guard. A deal. Luciano nodded. You tried to kill me because you don't like how I do business. Jews, Irish, doesn't matter to me. Money is money. That's not how we do things. That's not how you do things, Luciano interrupted. But it's how I do things. And it works. I make more money in a month than you make in 6. Maranzano was silent. Luciano continued. You can try to kill me again. Maybe next time you'll succeed. Maybe not. But either way, you lose. Because if you kill me, Mafia goes to war with you. If you don't kill me, I keep making money. And eventually, I make more than you. So what's the deal? Luciano leaned forward. You stay in your territory. I stay in mine. We don't cross each other. We don't compete. And when the time comes, sir, when the old bosses fall, we work together. Maranzano studied him. You think the old bosses will fall? I know they will. Mafia, Rena, all of them, they're dinosaurs. The world is changing. Prohibition won't last forever. We need to be smarter. Maranzano was quiet for a long moment. He looked at this young man across from him. 29 years old. Should be dead. Instead sitting here. Calm, offering partnership. Maranzano realized something in that moment. Lucky Luciano wasn't just another gangster. He was the future. Then he extended his hand. Deal, Luciano shook it. And just like that, the war that could have destroyed both of them never happened. Because Lucky Luciano didn't just survive an assassination attempt. He turned it into a partnership. The story of the bulletproof vest became legend in New York's underworld. Within a week, every gangster from Boston to Baltimore knew about it. Lucky Luciano had been shot 6 times and sent the vest back with a note. Next time, aim better. It wasn't just about survival. It was about control. About psychology. Luciano had proven something that night. Violence wasn't the only weapon. Sometimes the most dangerous thing you could do was stay calm. Think 3 steps ahead. Turn your enemy's move into your advantage. The vest sat in Maranzano's office for weeks. A reminder. Every time he looked at it, he remembered. Lucky Luciano couldn't be killed the usual way. 5 years later, in 1931, Luciano would orchestrate the murders of both Mafia and Maranzano. He'd create the commission. Modernize the American Mafia. Become the most powerful organized crime figure in the country. But it all started with that vest. With those 6 bullets. With that 4-word note. Because Lucky Luciano understood something most gangsters never learned. The most dangerous weapon isn't a gun. It's knowing what's coming before your enemy does. It's turning their plan into your victory. It's playing chess while they're still learning checkers. That night in 1926 changed everything. Maranzano learned that Lucky Luciano was untouchable. Not because bullets couldn't hit him, but because even when they did, he turned it into power. Meyer Lansky learned that his partner was smarter than anyone gave him credit for. And Luciano learned the most important lesson of all. Fear is a weapon, but respect is armor. And respect isn't given. It's taken. November 7, 1926. 3 men walked in. 6 shots fired. 1 man survived. And the message he sent the next morning made him untouchable. Because in the underworld, respect isn't given. It's taken. And Lucky Luciano took his with 6 bullet holes and 4 words. Words that echoed through the streets of New York for decades. Next time, aim better. But there was no next time. Because after that night, everyone knew. You don't touch Lucky Luciano. Not because you can't. Because even if you do, he'll make you wish you hadn't.